Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this very exciting unboxing. I'm going to be getting into The Last Unicorn Tarot, but please indulge me, we're probably going to be here for like a good long while because I backed this deck. This isn't the deck. I backed The Last Unicorn Tarot deck in 2017. In around September of 2019 actually, and it has finally arrived with me, or to me rather. And while I'm not going to talk a ton about my Kickstarter experience on this particular campaign in this video, I will be making a video very soon talking about my best and worst Kickstarter experiences. Suffice to say, this took too long, but I'm very excited it's in my hot little hands, and I just wanted to sort of introduce you to me and my love for this film and this book first. So I hope you will be patient and indulge me because I have been waiting to do this one for a long time and I just really want to geek out on it with you guys. So I thought I would start by sharing a little bit about my experience with this movie and with this book. I saw this movie first when I was really little, and I watched it over and 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 over again, and it was definitely my favorite movie pretty much of all time. When I was an adult, I finally got a chance to read the book, and I was even more enraptured by the story. This story informed so much about my spiritual path in ways that I don't know that I was able to articulate when I was young. I might actually get emotional during this video because this is such a meaningful story to me and a meaningful, I guess, archetype or memory. It's so tuned into my love of unicorns in general, my work with unicorn spirit as part of my spiritual path. I have just a lot of me tied up with this, and I feel like I had a lot of really special events that I got to experience around this particular story, but and I'm going to talk a bit about this book because I'd never seen it until I saw it in person. Anyways, I'm all over the place. Please forgive me. Also, please forgive my nail polish, which is super chipped, but I got this today and I was like, this is what I'm doing tonight, is I'm filming this video. But okay, I'm going to try to calm myself down. I have my juice. I didn't even have tea because I'm like, I need no caffeine right now. The Last Unicorn, let me back up. The Last Unicorn is a story by Peter S. Beagle, and it was originally a novel. I actually didn't bring my copy of the paperback here because everything I have here pretty much is signed by Peter S. Beagle because I am a fangirl. One of the things that happened was about 10 years ago, maybe it was less. Let's see if there's a date on here. 2015. So not 10 years ago. It must have been, oh no, it was before then. I don't know when the date was. The Last Unicorn had a screening tour. So Peter S. Beagle traveled and the film showed in local theaters, select local theaters across the country, both in Canada and the US. And a showing came to a city about 30 minutes away from where I live here in Canada. And I had the opportunity to go. Peggy, bless her heart, attended with me. And from the moment I walked in the theater doors, like the building's doors, and saw people in cosplay and dressed up as the different characters, and just soaked it all up, from that moment for the rest of the night, I was just floating on air. Being able to see this movie in the theater was really meaningful because when I saw it as a kid, I saw it at home on the VHS player. Like it wasn't something I'd ever seen on a big screen. So getting the opportunity to do that was really, really special. Peter S. Beagle was there, so he introduced the movie. It was really exciting. There's some background stuff with the team that surrounded this project, so I'm not going to flip this over and share that because there was some things that went down, supposedly, allegedly, where Peter S. Beagle was a bit taken advantage of. So I don't want to like talk about that company, but the actual experience of going was really, really magical. And afterwards there was an opportunity to buy some things and to get some things signed, and I just realized I forgot something that I'm going to want to show you guys. So I'm going to grab it literally off my wall. So while I was there, I had an opportunity to get a few things. One of those things was a print that was made by a artist who did fan art, and that is this one right here. This print is called Moon Unicorn, and it is by Rebecca Naomi Cox, and this is signed by Peter S. Beagle here. It's got my name up there for Lisa, so he signed that for me. This is just a stunning rendition of that unicorn, and anybody who knows me knows that this movie also informed partly the way that I see unicorns and what they're supposed to look like in my head. Some of that is from this movie, some of that is from my personal research into the mythology of unicorns, but oh, this is spot on. I like to see unicorns as very slender. Not all unicorns, sometimes I see them as really like beefy and sort of Clydesdale-y, but I love them to have this like lion style tail and cloven hooves that just speaks to a lot of the mythology that we have access to, where unicorns were depicted in early art. And oh my gosh, you guys, I could talk about unicorns for hours, and I might, so I'm sorry in advance, but unicorns are really, really special to me. So that was a really special thing that came out of that event. This book is one of my most prized possessions. This is actually called The Last Unicorn Deluxe Edition by Peter S. Beagle. This is the story in a graphic novel format. So I'm just going to share a bit of this with you guys. This is also signed, and I got this at that movie screening event, but it is absolutely breathtaking from start to finish. I feel like I know these scenes really well, but I have been waiting so long for this deck, and I haven't watched the movie or read this book recently, so we'll see how I do when we get to the cards and the deck and all of that stuff. I will try to remember to put timestamps, by the way, in this video in case you want to get right into the cards and not hear me babble about all the unicorn things for forever, but I just can't help myself. But this is just really, really, really stunning. Some of the most iconic characters in the movie, and they're depicted differently in this graphic novel, are Schmendrick the Magician. That's his hat, that's Schmendrick there. And the unicorn, of course, and Molly. Oh my gosh. Okay, see, I'm just gonna get lost in the book now, but I wanted to show you the red bowl. If I can get to some of the art that shows, there we go, there's our red bowl. This guy was like the terrifying villain of my childhood, like for real. Yeah, it's pretty great. And there's a ton of just more fan art in the back of this book. I love this print here. It's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. And I've got a bunch more unicorn things that I love, but this is the stuff specific to The Last Unicorn. So I've got this one. And then I also wanted to share with you that during the campaign, there was a really wonderful fan who ran some giveaways. We were getting very impatient around the middle of last year. I think we all kind of gave up after that, but we were getting pretty impatient, and she was running some giveaways, and I entered and I won this in the giveaway. But it is a copy of The Line Between, which is short stories by Peter S. Beagle, but it does include a sequel to The Last Unicorn called Two Hearts. And my intent was to read this after I received the deck. So it's been sitting on my shelf for quite a while, but this also is signed by Peter S. Beagle. So I have a lot of like signed swag. Okay, it's time for the main event. I'm very excited. So first of all, in our backer kit at the standard backer level, one of the stretch goals, or one of the included goals, was to get a pin set. You got to select 3 pins unless you upgraded your backer pledge amount to a different amount. So I'm just gonna bring these in. I selected the unicorn and the Red Bull as the 2 most iconic characters, of course, and then the human version of the unicorn. So if you're unfamiliar with the story, the unicorn had to turn into a human at one part in the movie, in the story, in order to escape the Red Bull, and she sort of got trapped in her human form, and she was called the Lady Amalthea when she was in human form. So I've got her in both of her forms and the bull as my pins. These are actually really, really great. I'm going to take one out of their package here. I'm probably going to pin these onto something. I just don't know what yet. But these are very, very well done. I will say that I do believe, truly believe, that some of the setbacks in this campaign were due to the time spent on some of these stretch goals and some of these extras that they ended up doing, as well as some additional merch that they were developing at the same time. This stuff is all licensed by the company that they are required to license Last Unicorn merchandise through. And You can buy these pins, you can buy the deck, you can buy all the stuff you see here, I believe, direct from Geekify now. So that is something that is totally possible. We also got a pile of stickers. I'm going to zoom us in for this. As part of the campaign. So there was a Geekify sticker in here. I didn't bother showing that one on camera, but here's our Red Bull. These are nice vinyl stickers. We have the unicorn. Magic, do as you will. This is a quote from the movie when Schmendrick the magician was trying to be better with his magic. About that wine, this is the skeleton, which is another character that oh my gosh, there's so many characters. I hope if you are watching this video and you're even remotely interested in anything I might babble on about this, that you watch the movie or read the book, because it's just fantastic. But a lot of the characters are going to be recognizable from the movie. This is really cool. So this is a holographic, it looks like just a star, but what's special about this is that when the unicorn is turned into a human girl, this star is on her forehead where her horn would have been. So there's a bit of, it's just neat. Okay. No cat anywhere ever gave anyone a straight answer. This little cat is great in the movie as well. Peter S. Beagle pledge. I believe there's a fund for Peter S. Beagle, so that's probably what that's about. The butterfly was a fantastic character. I think you can get an enamel pin of him as well. I'm not sure what Have a Taco is all about, but it's cute. I'll take it. And then we have the last unicorn. And this one is probably the most exciting. I wasn't expecting it, but this is a vinyl sticker of the star card, which is really cool because the star is one of my birth cards. So having that be the one tarot card image that they've included as a sticker is pretty dang cool. Not sad about it. So one of the remarkable things about this particular campaign is that it so far exceeded its funding goals. Oops, I better zoom us back out again. It so far exceeded its funding goals that there was tons of stretch goals, and one of them was the carved wooden box that the deck was going to come in. Now, I have not unwrapped the bubble wrap yet, you guys, so this is like, a very exciting moment. Oh. We saw mock-ups of this, obviously, during the campaign, near the end when they were finalizing this design, but that is really stunning. You have this like really beautiful three-dimensional scene of the unicorn encountering the butterfly. This happens early-ish on in the story, and it's carved along the sides as well. I kind of panicked, I'll admit, when I first saw the pictures because they only showed the side images at first, and I was like, that's not what you guys said you were gonna do. But I did have some trust issues on this campaign just because it took so long and I kept just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I will say everything is here that's supposed to be here, and it is really wonderful quality. So this is a lift top box, which is really nice. It's padded on the inside with some, looks like linen wrapped foam. It is a little bit of a bummer that there's no hinge, but I'm sure that would have increased their cost. It is just a lift top, but that's all right. I'm going to set that aside. And we have our guidebook, and our cards nestle in here. There's a little bit of wiggle room for them. I would have liked to see that a little bit more fitted, but then you might have had trouble getting the cards out. The only other deck I have that is in a box is the Brady Tarot, and I think that one did a better job of just fitting the cards, like cutting this out so that it fit in there properly. But the book fits in here too, which I really appreciate. And the guidebook is supposed to be a faux leather, so let's bring it in and see what that looks like. I love this sort of like leatherette kind of cover. I like that they didn't use real leather. Oh, it's pretty. And oh yes, ooh, I think these are a rose petal finish cardstock. I hope they're all like that. So this is what the backings of the cards look like. There's this really gorgeous gold metallic accent. I can't believe I'm already like 15 minutes in. You guys haven't even like opened the deck yet, but I did warn you it's gonna be a long one. This is really beautiful scene, and this is signed, like properly signed by Peter S. Beagle, and this card does say Peter S. Beagle. This was one of our stretch goals. This was also the cause of a major delay to the campaign because of course there was a lot of decks, and these cards specifically had to all get shipped and be signed by Peter when he had time. So that was a huge delay as well in the progress of the campaign. This feels kind of like it's got a little bit of heft, like it's little white book sized, but it's bigger than, say, the Game of Thrones guidebook, which was also like a little hardbound book. Tarot Card Interpretation Guide, written by Kayleana Nestriandes and John Taylor. So there's a foreword, some information on who did the artwork. One of the other delays that happened was there was supposed to be one of the artists that was supposed to do one of the suits had backed out at the art deadline. Okay, so we're right into the cards, and we have a bit about the Fool. There's an upright and reversed meaning. I'll pull a card at the end so we can read an entry and see what that's like. Looks like we get about the same amount even through the minors. I don't want to see too many of the images. And there are no spreads or anything. It's just the card interpretations. So really it's just a foreword and the card definitions. But that's okay. And it's small. I love that there's like a little built-in ribbon bookmark. That's kind of a nice touch. I'll just put that in the Fool for now. Okay. It's time to get into the cards. Let's set that aside. And there is some plastic. I totally left to go get something to cut these with and then forgot to bring back the thing to cut them with. Let me just grab some scissors. And I have to be really, really careful because I'm always paranoid. I don't know if you are. When you open the plastic on a deck, it's like, oh, if the scissors scrape across the edging, I'm going to be so sad. And honestly, I've done it a couple of times and like nothing ever, like you can never really tell after. It's not as much of a catastrophe as I think we feel like it's going to be when it happens. Okay. Yeah, they feel rose petally. Front and back. Ooh, okay, I'm happy about that. You guys know I love a good rose petal finish. All right, so we are going to be walking through this deck. So just prepare to be here for a while. All right, so we are starting with the Fool. I should talk about the cardstock. I think it's 350 GSM. It might be thicker, and there is like a gold flash around the front as well as the back. Oh, I like the sparkle here through the back as well. So our Fool is Schmendrick the Magician, just being his careless, foolish self. He is the perfect Fool character for this deck. There also seems to be some stuff in the corners. I'm just going to bring it up to my eyeballs for a second. Oh yes, okay, so up in these corners here, come on, focus, here we go. We have a little lock and a set of keys, and that does come up in the story later, and he is juggling some oranges, I think it is. Yeah, it looks like he's juggling oranges. I love this. We actually do see King Hagrid's castle off in the distance. At least I think that's what we're seeing. Yeah, that's what we're seeing. So that's kind of a cool nod to where his journey is going to be taking him. In the Magician, we have King Hagrid? Hagrid? No, Hagrid's not right. Haggard, that's what it is, King Haggard. This is his assigned like wizard magician. I forget this guy's name. He's a little bit on the slimy side, so it's kind of interesting. It's more of a shadow side depiction of the magician, but he is very powerful, and I think he's a much better choice than Schmendrick for this particular card. I think I'm going to zoom us out just so I can pick up the card and bring it in as I need to. But yeah, these are really beautifully done. I love the borders. Oh, and I didn't talk about the sides. Let's look at that real quick. They are gold gilded, and they are that sort of sparkly kind of gilding, but it does feel nicer than the kind of glittery gilding that I think feels kind of cheap. It's got some sparkle. It's almost like a matte gold with a bit of glimmer. So if you know the texture of the gilding of, say, like the Star Child or the Moon Child, it's like that. Texture-wise, like it feels like it's not going to flake off or come off, but it's got a bit of shimmer and glint to it. Okay, our High Priestess shows Lady Amalthea, but specifically a scene at which King Haggard is looking into her eyes and he's seeing the forest she comes from reflected in her eyes. It's actually really kind of cool that that's what we're seeing. You get that sort of mystery because this comes up in a scene when King Haggard is confused by her. She unsettles him because there's something about her he doesn't understand. And we also see here the scene down here that's reflected in her eyes. It's hard for me to see in the viewfinder, but I think that's what we're looking at here. I'm gonna bring it up to my real eyes for a second. Yeah. Yes, oh, that's what it is. On one side, we have King Haggard's castle. Because he questions her. He's like, why can't I see myself in your eyes? So that's really kind of a cool image for the High Priestess. For our Empress, Molly is the perfect character. She's like an older sort of motherly figure. She's very caretakery and nurturing. She's just perfect. And here she is pictured with our cat friend. Oh, the coloration on these is really, really good. And I will say the quality is really superb. Our Emperor as King Haggard does make sense. He's somebody who is used to having things his way. There's a little more shadow here because he's kind of the bad guy, but you can also see that need for structure and he's not real good with change, that sort of thing. Oh my gosh, we're gonna be here forever. I can't help myself. Our Hierophant, I can't remember his name. I'm gonna actually look in the guidebook because I'm kind of spacing. So he assists our sort of witchy character, Rook. That's right. Yes, so he assists Mommy Fortuna. I'm sure she's going to be in the deck as well. She's somebody that kind of collects lonely, sad animals and makes them appear as mythological creatures. He's kind of like the security in that part. I mean, this makes sense to me because he literally has the keys and he's sort of the gatekeeper of this particular area of the story, so that makes sense to me. We've also got these two little ravens here, and he presents a puzzle at one point about why is a raven like a writing desk, or he gets asked the riddle. That's what it is. Okay, anyways, I'm getting a little bit lost in memories of the actual movie. Okay, so this Lover's card is great. It shows some scenes that show up during a musical interlude in the movie. A part of the story where these two realize they have feelings for each other. This is the Lady Amalthea and Prince Lear, I think his name is, who is the son of King Haggard. And this card, I have to say, I think it's in here somewhere. I think we have an alternative. I wonder if it's in the back. It's supposed to be in here. Oh, interesting. I wonder if they took it out entirely. I guess we'll find out. But there was a very controversial Lover's card that Geekify first presented, and a lot of us, myself included, were like, that's not a good choice. But it featured a different scene from the book and the movie where a tree had Schmendrick the magician, this guy, tied up, and he was kind of bound there, and the tree was being all lovey, but it was very like non-consensual and not good, not a good vibe. So we're like, I don't know about that for the lovers, but this is beautiful. It's very reminiscent of that scene in the movie, so I really, really like that. For our Chariot, we have Prince Lear going to fight a dragon to try to impress the Lady Amalthea. There's a lot of confidence and drive and like, I'll win her heart energy to this, so that works for me. This is beautiful for the Strength card. This is a point in the story where the unicorn stands up to the Red Bull who is trying to trap her, and she instead chases him into the sea. Really powerful moment there. The Hermit as the unicorn in her forest makes beautiful sense. We see her forest here behind. There's a point in the beginning of the story where she's wondering if she's the last unicorn. The Wheel of Fortune, this is just beautiful. I get what I need from this. It's got the moon cycles here. We have sort of 4 creatures depicted in the corners. That works for me. It's not quite spot on from an astrological perspective, but I understand the point and I can roll with it. It's really beautiful. I love this stained glass effect in the center. And to be honest, a lot of wheel cards, the art itself doesn't speak to me so much as what I know that the wheel stands for. Justice as Prince Lear. I don't know. It makes sense because he's got a very like honorable air about him, so I understand why he makes a good Justice card. I can roll with it. The Hanged Man, the Harpy. I don't know about her either. It's kind of funny. Again, I can probably work with all of this because I know the story so well that I can look for the message. It makes sense because the Harpy is really trapped and bound by her circumstances for quite some time, and she's a wild thing. So she's forced into being in a position of waiting. I don't know. I can roll with it. I keep saying I can roll with it. I can probably roll with anything in this deck because I just love it so much. But the Death card, this couldn't be more perfect. This guy actually guards a gateway to essentially what is kind of like an underworld or a liminal space. And you have to bribe him with pretend wine in order to get through. So, and he's just a great character for Death. That's beautiful. Temperance, we have Lear again. I knew we were going to have a lot of repeated characters, kind of like with the Game of Thrones tarot. Whenever you've got like a fan fiction or fan-based, not fan fiction, whenever you've got a fan-based deck, you're going to run into a lot of repeat characters. I just want to bring this to my face for a second. He's peeling potatoes. This is actually a point in the story where he is sort of talking to Molly. Remember, she's our Empress. And he's sort of trying to get advice about how he can get through to Amalthea because he really wants to impress her. And so he's come to her to sort of seek advice. He's been doing all of that chariot action, that fighting, that trying to force things, not force things, but he's definitely doing a lot of the same things and it's not working. And Molly kind of, I think at this point, is giving him some advice about maybe just reel it in a bit. Like maybe not with the cutting off dragon heads and trying to impress her with those. So this is actually a moment where he's kind of humbled and he's like, well, I guess I need to try something different. The Devil, the Red Bull showing Lady Amalthea just curled up here and really cornered and trapped is so perfect for this card. It makes perfect sense to me. Our Tower, this literally happens in the movie, which makes it a wonderful allegory for the Tower. There's a point at which King Haggard's tower literally crumbles and falls into the sea, and everything that he knew, all of his structure, everything he leaned into came crumbling down, and the unicorns were freed. It's a powerful moment, and it's kind of cool as a reader because I can look at this and go, okay, are you King Haggard in this situation? Or are you the unicorn that's being freed, right? Lots to work with there. I love it. And here is the beautiful Star card. You know, this card, oh, it is so spot on. This card is beautiful. With the highlight on the tip of her horn, with this inset here showing the sea and the unicorns in the wave, there's a moment at which Amalthea realizes, or the unicorn realizes, that the other unicorns are still there. They're not gone. They're in the sea. And that is her moment of hope. That is when she realizes that she could potentially do something about this and the situation that she finds herself in, being alone. And I think that's a really potent moment. And we also see the shooting star in the background. It's really well done. Beautiful card. And here we have Mommy Fortuna with the moon, and this is another really good one. She's cast her spell over all of these animals and she's created an illusion. People come to this like little circus kind of deal and they see what they want to see. They see the spell she's cast. They don't see the truth. And with the moon, we really are dealing with illusions and not always seeing things as they are. We're seeing projections sometimes and we're moving through our fears, and there's just so much here to unpack. Love this. The sun. Gorgeous, radiant artwork here. It's really beautiful, and I do love the finish. It's soft touch. It's that rose petal, but it's not. It's a little smoother than some of the other rose petals I felt. It's really lovely. I can't stop flashing that gold. And I am going to be, I think, using this deck. We'll see, but it's going to be one of my treasures for sure. I didn't have a lot to say about the sun, but it's very exuberant. We have Schmendrick here in Judgment. Oh, this is such a perfect moment for this card. This is the point of the story in which she was trapped by the Red Bull, and in order to help her, he turns her into a human. And he doesn't fully realize the ramification of that action at the time, but it completely changes things in an irrevocable way. There's definitely experiences she has after this moment that she would have never otherwise had. It's really cool. There's a lot of stuff here I can pull into. She had both good and bad experiences as a human, and she was sort of forever changed by that, and so it's perfect for that Judgment card. That's amazing. They did a really good job there. In our world, we have our Butterfly, who is just a fantastic character. He's very happy. He's got life all figured out. He knows what he's doing. He knows where he's going. We do have the 4 suit symbols showing up in the corners, so that's very traditional. I really like that. It's just beautiful. I could just look at these all day long. Okay, here's our alternative lovers. So this was the card that caused a bit of an uproar, and after this, Geekify was a little hesitant to show art because there was such a strong reaction to this. It's a cute image, and it's great fanfare to see this in the deck somewhere. It just wasn't good for the lovers. I wish they would have picked a different spot to put this in the deck. I won't be using this card as the lovers because, of course, he's literally tied up. It's cute, but it's very not that sort of choice energy we want to see in the lovers, and because he has no choice, he's literally stuck there. But yeah, it's still kind of fun to see this scene in there. Basically what happens is he's tied up to just a regular willow tree, and he's trying to cast magic to get himself out of the situation, and accidentally brings her to life, and she has these gigantic bosoms. I just said bosoms on my channel. But it's a fun scene. I'm glad it's here, but yeah, I won't be using that. I'm actually going to put that in the bottom of the box right now, or I'll put it up with the signed card. Okay, and uh-oh, why do I have the, please tell me I have an ace. Okay, good, the ace is at the end. I don't know why, but I'm going to bring it forward. Okay, so we have our ace of coins. This is fantastic because this is a point in the story in which Schmendrick and Molly have met. His artwork is exquisite. I mean, I have no complaints about how the images have been created, but he's basically inviting her, or, you know, bringing her along. I mean, inviting her is probably a little bit of a strong word because she kind of insists, but it's at the beginning of a journey for sure, and there's definitely an opportunity here. There is, yeah, I like it. Schmendrick juggling for the two is great. I love that they've got him balancing on stones because traditionally we see a figure who is normally the earthly suit in a different element. So some decks will depict the person juggling by the sea, like as the Rider-Waite-Smith is by the sea, or they might depict them, I have in the Haunted Mansion Tarot rather, you see somebody who's up in the air, and our earthly suit likes to be firmly planted on the ground. So there's a bit of an element of being out of your element. So I like to see that in the artwork, and we do have that here with this sort of watery foundation. Our three. So these guys, I'm gonna quickly check the guidebook because I remember those characters and I think they were just little troublemakers, but let me just see if I'm remembering that right. It's interesting that the deck isn't in the same order as the guidebook, but the guidebook is in the typical wands, cups, swords, coins order. Captain Gully, oh yes, okay, of course, I'm such a space cadet. These are the, there's like these bandits that are living out in the woods. That's actually where Molly's from, and they always like travel together. There's definitely some collaborative energy to that card, so that works for me. They're kind of, they work as a team for sure. Our four of coins with Madame Fortuna makes perfect sense. She's definitely a hoarder of her creatures. She doesn't want to let anything go. She's got that sort of miserly energy. Definitely more the shadow side, but I'm okay with that. Lots of decks do that. Our five of coins. Oh, this is fantastic because this shows Lady Amalthea as she's gazing out to sea where she knows the other unicorns are, and she's feeling alone and lost and confused and not sure what to do next. And she's really kind of stuck in this point in the story. So this is really fantastic for that. And I haven't seen like 90% of these images. This is really cool to walk through. The six of coins with Molly and the cat, these two formed, I think, a pretty quick bond in the movie and the story, of course. Everything, just assume when I say movie, I also mean the book, because they were very closely matched. This is good. I mean, it doesn't show that rebalancing, but you get that with the coloration. She's definitely a force of balance, period, in the story. She really kind of tempers everything, which is why I think it's so lovely to see that one scene of Prince Lear kind of getting her advice in the Temperance card, because she really is that force of temperance, that motherly force. So that works for me. Our seven of coins, this is sort of the reaping what you sow card, and this is a little bit almost Pippish. I mean, we've got figures here. I'm just wondering, where our sort of harvest is pictured in this image. I mean, in a way, we see her before she's gotten to the castle. She hasn't been turned into a human yet, but she's taken quite a long road and she's seeing the castle finally. So she's kind of nearing that point in her journey where she's going to be seeing, she thinks, or finding where the other unicorns are. So there is a sort of the end is in sight kind of energy to this card. I could work with it because, again, I know the story so well. I could kind of project myself into that image and think about what could be going on there. And I know what the 7 of Coins stands for, so I'll be okay. But I wish there had been something a little more harvesty here. I don't know what I would suggest from the movie that would fit the bill, but any pictures of the unicorn and I'm happy. So, I mean, I'm pretty easy to please that way. Our 8 of Coins. And this is when we see somebody perfecting their magic. And I'm just gonna, sorry, I know I'm taking it out of frame, but I have to see really close and I've got old lady eyes. This does look to be a point at which Schmendrick has gotten a little better. His magic looks a little more controlled here. And so that's the story I would tell in this. We see books in the background, study. He's definitely, there's more control for sure. A lot of his magic is chaotic in the beginning of the story. So I can definitely work with this card for sure. The 9 of Coins, this is lovely. I mean, this is a point in the story where Lady Amalthea is very safe physically. She's protected. She's, I think they've kind of made this up because the butterfly's visiting her in her human form, and I'm trying to remember if that actually ever happened in the movie. Not that I really care. I understand what this kind of looks like, and this is very 9 of Coins to me. I like that we've got the butterfly and not just a random bird, because there was not a bird in the movie, so that, like, in that way, so I'm glad that they did that with it. It's really beautiful. The art is very cohesive, despite the fact that there were 4 or 5 different artists, I'll have to look at the book again, who worked on this deck. So we have our 10 of Coins, and we do get that generational feeling. We have King Haggard with his son, Prince Lear, and this does harken back to a time before his sort of issues of, you know, hoarding and trying to protect all of the beautiful things that made him happy kind of took over and the castle became very dark. So this does speak to like a happy time when things were good and he was well off and being a good leader perhaps even. So I like that. And, oh wait. Yeah, that was the 10, okay. And then we're kind of in a weird order here. What is happening? We have a queen, a knight. Oh, okay, everything's out of order. Well, anyway. We have our Page of Coins being Molly. I love it. It's great. She's very practical and down to earth and she gets it done. Definitely not afraid to get her hands dirty. Love it. The Knight of Coins being Prince Lear makes beautiful sense. I'll be interested to see what they do with the rest of the courts, to be honest. I don't mind if there's some repeats, but he is very reliable, steadfast, honorable. That works. Our Queen of Coins as our unicorn in her unicorn form, just sort of basking in her forest where she is the protector and the nurturer of the creatures that she cares for. She actually, when she decided to leave her forest, had to make that decision carefully because leaving meant putting her forest, the creatures that depended on her, at risk because they were safe and protected while they were with her in the woods. And our king, this is one of the guys from the Bandits. I want to look this one up too, just to remind myself of his name if nothing else. He was kind of like a Robin Hood-y kind of figure. Oh, he's a hunter. Does he have a name? No. But I can totally see him as a character, as a King of Coins. That makes sense to me. Okay, we're into cups, which is my favorite suit, and the ace is in the right place. Hooray. And I love me a good overflowing fountain in my Ace of Cups, so this is everything. This is beautiful. I love the way that it feels kind of secluded and secret. I love the artwork in the back that shows the forest. I'm real happy with that. Oh, yay. One of the initial sort of romantic moments between Prince Lear and Lady Amalthea in the Two of Cups is brilliant. This is when they were all starry-eyed, and it was, yeah. This is also another scene that takes place during the love song that happens in the movie. The same scene we see depicted in our Lovers card here, or sort of the same musical montage. These two scenes both show up in that song portion of the movie, so that's beautiful. I love that. I haven't even talked about the size of this deck, but I'll get there. Our Three of Cups, this is fantastic. This is when they're all journeying to the castle. They're traveling together. Molly, the unicorn, and Schmendrick. Beautiful. Four of Cups, King Haggard is perfect for this. He's never quite content. This is brilliant. He never really appreciates what he has. So You can work with this any number of ways. There's a lot more shadow whenever we see, of course, the more shadowy characters come up, but that's okay. We can work with that. Oh, the Five of Cups. She's been really struggling. She's partly forgotten where she's come from. She's been traumatized by the Red Bull. She's afraid. She doesn't know what to do next. There's definitely a hopelessness in this part of the story, so that works. She just needs to get refocused. Oh, this is going to make me cry. Okay, I'm not going to cry. This is a part of the story where Molly was just yelling at the unicorn because she saw her. And one thing you learn early on in this story is that you can't see the horn on the unicorn. You only see a regular horse unless you believe. And so most people didn't see her as a unicorn. But Molly, when they stumbled on her in the bandits camp, recognized her immediately and yelled at her and was so upset. She was sobbing and she was yelling at the unicorn and saying, like, how dare you come to me now? Like, I've looked for you all my life. When I was young and when I was beautiful, why didn't you come to me then? You know, why do you come to me now? Oh my God. Anyway. And right after she yells at her, like, Schmendrick is getting kind of upset because he's like, why are you yelling at her? Stop it, kind of thing. And then they have this beautiful hug and the unicorn totally understands. And it's this really sweet, compassionate moment. And it's so beautiful for the Six of Cups. The Seven of Cups. Oh my gosh, this is great because this is the moment at which Schmendrick really feels like he's doing magic for the first time. He is conjuring up, if I'm remembering what scene this face of his is from, he's conjuring up a fake Robin Hood, not Robin Hood. He's conjuring up a fake Robin Hood and Maid Marian and stuff to distract the bandits so that they can escape because they've basically been captured by these bandits where he met Molly and such. Had to have a sip of my juice because, oh my gosh, you guys, I can talk about this deck a lot, obviously. So this is great for the Seven of Cups because he thinks he's casting all this great magic and afterwards you kind of find out that the unicorn was assisting him. So there's a bit of him kind of overestimating what he's capable of at this point, and there's definitely some not quite being fully grounded in reality for him happening here, so that totally works. Our Eight of Cups. Oh, she's crying. This is like, oh, you guys. Sorry, I'm going to bump the camera. I'm so sorry, but I had to move my physical body there for a second. She is, oh, this is so sad. So this is at a point when she is just, she's leaving. She knows she has to leave Prince Lear. She knows she has to leave the castle. She's forgetting who she is. She knows what her courses of action are. And she's sad about it, right? She's fallen in love with the prince, and now she's like, well, that's over. So she's got some emotion to work through as part of that leaving process, and that's a really beautiful depiction for the Eight of Cups. When we usually see somebody who's made this decision that they need to move on or leave something that's not serving them, but we don't often see their grief or their emotion about it. Usually we see their back as they're moving away. And so we kind of tend to see this card, I think, as from the perspective of the ones being left behind, not necessarily of the ones doing the leaving, even though when you're reading with this card, it's often about you and what you're experiencing. And so this kind of recenters that, which is really powerful. Oh, the Nine of Cups is brilliant. Now, I love a feminine Nine of Cups. I love it when it's not a drunkard. Like, I love that. But this is so dang perfect, I can't be mad at it. Like, it's just spot on. This skeleton guy is like a total like alcoholic in life. So in death, he just constantly craves wine. And here he's got lots of his wine or his fake wine. I don't know what you would call it. And he's excited and happy. So that's perfect. His wishes have been fulfilled. This is a beautiful Ten of Cups. Because at this point in the story, oh, I'm going to cry again. I haven't even cried yet, but I mean, anyways, this is a part at the very end of the story. Schmendrick and Molly have become friends. The unicorn is a unicorn again. It is really, truly the happy ending of the story, but it's also bittersweet, and there's a lot that they've been through. Oh. Our Page of Cups as the unicorn makes sense. The unicorn has a bit of naivete throughout the movie and throughout the book, and she does wizen throughout the story, but she makes a beautiful Page of Cups. All Our Knight of Cups as Schmendrick also makes sense. He's definitely somebody who follows his heart, who is easily distracted. He's fantastic as a sort of bumbling, kind of sweet character that you just can't help but love. Molly as the Queen of Cups works. It does work. Who was the Queen of Pentacles? I've already forgotten. I'm just curious how much overlap we have. Oh, she was the Page of Coins, and the Unicorn was the Queen of Coins. I see. Okay. So yeah, we're going to see tons of repeat. There's not a lot of characters in this movie, so I'm not mad at that. This is a beautiful depiction of the Queen of Cups being very nurturing and loving towards the cat. And she's got the soup on. Very comforty. I like it. And our King of Cups in this case is Prince Lear, but you get this idea at this point, we see him kind of on the seabed, and you get this idea that this is after the castle has crumbled and he's sort of the one in charge now, and you get this feeling that he would be a more kind and compassionate and loving leader than King Haggard had been. And we're into the swords, our suit of intellect. This has got a really beautiful kind of almost Marseille-ish feel with the unicorn wrapped around it. I like it. I'm not sure what, I think this is one of the preview images I did see. I'm not sure what these little windows here are, but I don't mind. It's a very stylized kind of card, and I can never see too many of those unicorns, so this is great. Prince Lear in the Two of Swords, needing to make his decision. He was definitely torn at a lot of places in the story. Aw, and the Three of Swords. This is probably that point I was telling you about where she was really sad and heartbroken that she's finally now seeing the unicorn when she's older and maybe can't have the same relationship with her she would have had otherwise. Heartbreak. Beautiful Four of Swords when they're all resting during their journey. Beautiful. This Five of Swords. Schmendrick, you know, he doesn't always make the right choices, and I think this shows the idea of sometimes he made choices that perhaps were a little more self-serving or careless without realizing really what the ramifications of those decisions would be. When he turned Amalthea into a human, you know, she had experiences that ultimately did hurt her, that she experienced hurt she wouldn't have experienced otherwise, basically. And perhaps if he'd have been less hasty, they could have found a different solution kind of thing. And that was one of the morals of the story. But this shows kind of that obliviousness that I think he felt, or that he didn't feel, you know? Hopefully I'm making some kind of sense. I'm kind of just lost in this world right now. The Six of Swords. This is a point when Lear he knows what's going on with her. He knows she's the unicorn, and he's going to help her do what she's got to do. Turn back into a unicorn, leave the castle. So there's very much this ferrying away from the difficulty happening here. The Seven of Swords. This is perfect. Schmendrick is sneaking around to unlock the cage and release the unicorn, and he releases some other animals as well. So he's definitely stealing the unicorn because she was being caged and held by Mommy Fortuna, or Madame Fortuna. Yeah, that's perfect for the Seven. The Eight. Oh, this is so beautiful. Again, we have this idea of her being trapped and wishing to be back in her unicorn form again, wishing to find the other unicorns, just being overwhelmed, not knowing what to do. It's perfect. King Haggard was absolutely full of anxiety and fear, so this makes beautiful sense to me. Our Ten of Swords. Ooh, this is an intense scene. This is the moment at which this harpy had been released and attacked its captor, which was Madame Fortuna. So that is very much a appropriate Ten of Swords image. That was her end. And it was exactly the end that she basically wanted for herself, which is a line from the movie, something along those lines. Okay, do we have the page? Yes, we have the page. Oh my gosh, this is funny. So the Page of Swords is actually this padlock. I kind of want to read what the guidebook says about this one, actually. That's the cage. That was the, I believe, the lock to the unicorn's cage or the harpy's cage. It might be the unicorn. Let's see. Thank you for humoring me. I know you can't talk back, but thank you. Let's see. The lion-maned lock is predominantly made of an open mouth, ever willing to belittle and demean those who attempt to open it. That was true, yes. Though there's a keyhole, there is no evidence of a key nearby, preventing others from easily breaking in. It goes on from there. So yeah, this, I can't remember whose cage this was on, but yeah, it talked, and it was, yeah, that's funny. The Knight of Swords. This is actually Prince Lear being sort of the, going after that, same thing from the Chariot card, where he was going after that dragon to try to impress the Lady Amalthea. This is a different scene. Where's my Chariot? There we go. Same scene, different perspective. So that works for me. The that was definitely a King of Swordsy kind of moment when he was going after that dragon, trying to impress her. I'll just rush into battle and lop off the head of a dragon and everything will be fine. She'll love me. The Queen of Swords being Madame Fortuna again. That makes sense. She, it kind of shows her and the Harpy, so you kind of get this idea of this standoff between them. That totally works for me. The King of Swords as King Haggard again totally makes sense to me. What is this happening down here? Sorry, I've got to move it out of frame again. Huh. I think this might be a dragon that he slayed or something. I think it's just trying to show that he was somebody who would make decisive action like that. And we're into the Ace of Wands now. Oh, this is beautiful. So she is holding her unicorn horn. I think it's just meant to be a depiction of her magic, but they gave us an actual horn so you know where the magic is coming from. She never actually held a horn like that in the movie, but she was really the magician, the true magician, as far as how much really true magic she had in her of the movie. Our Two of Wands and like, well, what do I do now? What am I going to decide to do? This whole looking out over your domain and deciding what your adventure is going to be. This is perfect. She was in her forest. She had heard a rumor that she was the last, and she was unsettled after that, and she couldn't get the idea out of her head, which is why she ultimately decided to take that journey in the first place. So I think this makes perfect sense. King Haggard here looking out at the sea and what he has created with his unicorns out to sea. That makes sense for the Three of Wands. He did all that work to put them out there, and now he's just enjoying the reward of his effort, I guess you could say. Kind of like waiting for your ship to come in. Our Four of Wands. This is where we see the conjured pretend Robin Hood and Maid Marian going through the forest. This is kind of cute because it is a moment, a pause in the story in which there's sort of a celebration and everybody's having a good time. All the work and the journeys are all at a pause. So that totally works for me. I keep saying that. I'm actually surprised because I'd heard enough about some of these cards being not quite depicting the Rider-Waite Smith that I was concerned. But I think knowing the story really, really well, I'm able to just kind of dig in and find the little nuggets. So this is the Five of Wands. And we have competition, and this makes perfect sense because this hired magician or wizard of King Haggard and Schmendrick kind of had a bit of a standoff. This was Schmendrick's teacher, I think, at one point, and so it was kind of a face-off between the two of them. The Six of Wands with victory. We have here narwhals out to sea. This is a really cool image. And I think that ultimately Prince Lear definitely had that victorious, he helped to release the unicorns from the sea. This is a really cool image. I really can't wait to read what the guidebook has to say about all of these cards. Our Seven of Wands. This is that moment when it looks like the unicorns... Oh, she was being chased. This is a moment when the unicorn was being backed into the sea by the Red Bull. You can see that by the flames here. And this is the moment when she takes her stand. That is perfect for the Seven of Wands. And she starts to actually fight back. That's powerful. Our Eight of Wands is when, oh, this scene is iconic. Here's her little forest friends. This is the moment when she runs away very quickly from her forest. Having decided to go, she's just like full force, full speed ahead because she's afraid that if she looks back, she will lose her nerve. So there's definitely a riding that speed or riding that momentum energy to this. The Nine of Wands. This is interesting. This is the first one I would say it doesn't immediately kind of, I'm not quite sure why they're showing this image in this card. I'll have to read about that one. But this is a point at which the unicorn is, she's not really protecting anyone here. She's in her cage. She's got a false horn so that they see her as a unicorn because they can't see her real horn. And there's this woman who she kind of has an opportunity to sort of meet eyes with while she's trapped. But this isn't somebody who was coming after her. She wasn't defending herself. So I'd be curious to see what it says about that. I can live with it. But that's the first one I would say I don't quite fully get. Our Ten of Wands, of course. Yes, King Haggard has his unicorns in the sea. He has everything he says he wants, and yet he can't. He doesn't, you know, he's not in charge of death. He can't, he's got this heavy burden, right? Like he's done all of this stuff to have what he wants, but he's also trapped the unicorns. There's a certain amount of, maybe he didn't quite bargain for how this was going to play out. Our Page of Wands as Schmendrick makes perfect sense. I don't even think I need to say anything. Like he's definitely the novice magician in the story, so that works totally for me. Prince Lear as our Knight of Wands, showing him in a more like confident place in the story. Totally works. Here we have Molly as our Queen of Wands. Again, there's limited characters in this story, so I'm not sad to see her in almost all of the Queen. I think this is her third position as the Queen. We'd have to lay them out to really see. But here's where she's in a real no-nonsense mood. She's got her spoon. She means business. She's not taking any flack here, so that works for me. And the King of Wands as the Red Bull is a fun choice. He is definitely the most fiery character in the entire story. He's literally made of flame, so this works. He's not necessarily the master of his own domain in a way. He's very much in control in a way. Like he's powerful, but his strings are pulled by King Haggard. So there's some iffy stuff, but I'm glad they found a spot for him. And I feel like there's not a lot of other spots besides as the Devil card where he could fit in. So I'm okay with this. Okay, so that is all of the cards. Everything was there. Nothing was missing. I've pulled out the extra lovers card. Let's talk about the size. Let me grab a quick reference card for you. Ooh, ouch, I just kicked the camera and I stubbed my toe in one fell swoop. Okay, so here is Danny's tarot card. I used this last time and it's handy. So this is a standard tarot card size. You can see that the last Unicorn Tarot is a little bit wider and a little bit taller than that. This might make it easier to see. Yeah, you can see it sticks up a little bit there and over to the side there. So I'm going to give these a shuffle. We're going to draw one. We'll see how they shuffle. And I'll read from the guidebook. Oh, they're a little stiff. They're definitely at least 350. These might be 400 GSM. I think they're 350. They have a nice smell. I'm a deck sniffer though, for sure. Yeah. If you have trouble with rifle shuffling the thicker cardstock, this one might be a bit of a challenge because it's got some heft for sure. But I'm not mad at that because it doesn't feel flimsy, it doesn't feel cheap, which given the fact that this took 2 years, over 2 years to reach me, if there had been a single quality thing at issue, I probably would have been very upset. So I'm glad that this is really nice quality. Now I believe if you do choose to buy this from their website, that the deck and the wooden box are sold separately. Backers got them as part of the stretch goal for the campaign. Okay, we're gonna draw a card from the top. Oh, of course, I want to draw a different one. Okay, well I want to draw a different one. Mostly because I already know about the Red Bull. No, you know what? I said I was gonna, I'm not gonna cheat. All right, let's see what it says. That's so funny that that's the one. Okay, let's see what it says in the guidebook. Here's what our entry looks like. And I'll just read it. The red bull stands before the ocean he presides over. His blood-red horns are the horns of a wild ox, and he has used them to push the other unicorns to the ends of the earth, trapping them in the sea. He is a creature of raw power and burning intensity, all ambition and oftentimes aggressive in the pursuit of his goals. The bull is stubborn and unstoppable, only serving those who show no fear, for he is a conqueror through and through. A wand wreathed by a blazing crown denotes his mastery over not only his own will, but the will of others. So maybe King Haggard didn't pull his strings so much after all. Maturity and wisdom, along with a clear vision, have allowed you to step forward as a charismatic leader. Your strong will serves as an influence in the outcome of the opportunities you choose to explore. A willingness to forge a direct path and avoid wasting anyone's time is inspiring to others. They see your power and determination and are ready to wholeheartedly support your quest. You intend to leave a legacy and they wish to be a part of it. Take caution. Should you not commit fully to your ideals and intentions, you will struggle to actually manifest your goals. In the reverse, someone may hold the position of leader but not yet fully grasp how to truly lead. You may need to improve your ability to communicate and delegate, or your ambition may have made you aggressive and arrogant. Remember that you are striving for a common goal and that each person's contributions are unique and valuable. So I like the way that the guidebook is written. I have another sip of my juice here. I'm going to draw one more card for funsies, mostly because I was already going to cheat. Oh, perfect. The Nine of Wands. That's one that I wanted to look up. That works out well. A weeping maid peers at the caged unicorn on display, hands clutched close to her throat. The cold iron bores, anathema to her magic, prove to make the unicorn's prison inescapable. All the unicorn can do is bide her time, unaware that a glowing false horn has been placed upon her so that the carnival patrons can recognize her for what she truly is. There has never been a spell on her before, nor a time she was not known. This is a significant setback on her journey, and she is sorely tested by it, but she must endure. Okay, now that speaks to the way that our Nine of Wands characters are usually feeling pretty worn down, but they're still staying strong in their way, but they're beaten down, right? Though the situation at hand may seem impossible, know that you are more resilient than you give yourself credit for. There is strength inside you yet, and your reward is just around the corner. Every test you pass only strengthens your resolve. Be assertive in communicating what you need and drawing firm boundaries with others in order to protect yourself. If you stumble, get back up and try again. Reversed, you may be feeling broken-spirited at constantly fighting obstacles in your way, or have bitten off more than you can chew. Narrow your focus, look to others for assistance, and practice positive self-talk. There may also be a fear that others are constantly out to get you, but it is a false one, driven by insecurity. Try not to worry about what others are thinking. Okay, that was the only one out of the entire deck that I wasn't sure of, and that guidebook entry cleared it up for me. That's great. Okay, guys, I have no complaints at all about the choices made in this deck. I'm very aware that there were limitations given how few characters were present in the story, and I think the majors are spot on. I couldn't have chosen anything better. I really feel like the messages come through in all the cards based on remembering what each scene is from. I can definitely say, if you're not as familiar with the movie as somebody that's kind of as obsessed as I am, you might find a few of these are just look like figures on cards. Part of the reason that I was able to pull meaning from some of the cards where you just see a person standing there is because I remember the scene of that particular pose, or what that particular person is doing just standing there, and that really added a lot of context. If you're not super familiar with the movie itself, or you don't remember a lot of the scenes, some of that context might not be as apparent. So I really do think this deck was created with fans of the movie in mind. Oh, I was going to talk about the artists. Let me do that real quick before we wrap up. I know this is a million hours long. I don't regret it. But I wanted to be able to name who the artists were. So here we go. Card portraits are by. The majors were done by Adrienne Tamar Arachne. The suit of wands, Sarah Fenton. The suit of cups was Holly Fetterman. The suit of swords was Medusa Dollmaker and Adrienne Tamar Arachne. And the suit of coins was Annika Burrell. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the suit of swords was the one that there was a bunch of delay in the artwork, because I believe the original person was supposed to do the whole suit, had only completed a little bit of it, and it had to be finished by Adrienne. Please don't quote me on that. That's very much just allegedly. That's what I think I remember. But it has been a very long campaign, so there's that. And that is that is it. I think that this is going to be a deck I really truly enjoy working with. I'm really excited to play with it for a whole week and see how it reads. But regardless, I knew that this was a deck that even if it read terribly, I would really love and treasure having for my love of this film and this story and everything that it represents to me. So I want to thank you guys for indulging me in this ultra long deep dive into this deck. I knew I was going to do this. I knew it was going to be long. I knew I was going to have so much to say, but I am so glad that it's finally in my hands and that I have an opportunity to share it with all of you. So thank you so much, and I will see you all again very, very soon.